All right, so we're going to start a new chapter today, so I'm going to share my screen if I can get it to work. All right, it looks like it is up there for everybody, so I'm going to start now. So chapter 10 is on print graphics. In this chapter, you're going to learn about the use of images in desktop publishing, learn about some drawing tools that are available, and learn about special effects. So, get all of this out here. So text and graphics are both important when you're dealing with something that you're making. And as you all have been doing your geometrics, you've put in text and you've put in graphics, and you can kind of look at why the text is just as important as the graphics are. Print publications do rely heavily on graphics, but you do have to have some text in there too. So you have to understand how they work together. So when you talk about graphics, anything that's not text can be considered a graphic. So, clip art is a graphic. Photos from your cameras or scanned photos, they're graphics. Artwork that's created in some kind of software like Photoshop or Illustrator. Line art, even just a simple drawing of one line is graphics. Charts, graphs, maps, those are graphics. So, it is important where you place your images. And all desktop publishing software can import graphics into it. And then when you import it is where the graphics it's created from another program, and then you insert it into the desktop publishing program. Floating graphics are graphics that are independent of the text. So they're kind of just, they're not really in line with the text, because you got floating graphics and inline graphics. Floating just kind of appear along the, just anywhere. They're not in line with text, where inline graphics are actually attached to your text. So clip art is the artwork supplied by the publisher of your desktop publishing software. It comes lots of times with that program. Clip art does have some drawbacks. It does provide the temptation to use images as decoration. Like, people just throw clip art on there just because they're just trying to decorate the page, and they don't have a real reason of why they put it in there. And so it becomes just something that doesn't mean as much as if you use it when you actually need to use it. It's a lot of times they've been seen by other readers in other things because you use it over and over. And so it's just, I don't know, it's just not as meaningful. And it could have some copyright restrictions, especially when you're searching on the internet for clip art. You got to really be careful that you're not committing a copyright infringement. If it comes with the program, you're good to use it because it's not going to be copyrighted. They bought the rights to use it. But when you're actually out there on the internet just searching for clip art, you have to really be careful to make sure that it's not something that somebody else made and didn't give you permission to use it. You can actually search in Google for images that are non-copyrighted. And when we're here in class sometime, I'll show you all how to do that. File type and size can really be a problem with graphics. Print documents allow you to use any standard vector or bitmap image. You just have to be careful about the graphics being too large, because sometimes they won't print. Some printers can't handle big graphics. Only small desktop publishing documents will fit on a floppy disk. We don't even use floppy disks anymore, but used to, you couldn't put a lot of graphics into a document because it wouldn't even fit. But now we have zip cartridges, CD-ROMs, and much other larger places to put files, so it's not as big a deal, like the cloud, a jump drive. Jump drives now are where you can put your graphics, and they'll easily fit on there with no problem. To reduce the size of a document, you have to reduce the size of the graphic. You can't just reduce the Word document or the InDesign document. You actually have to reduce the size of the actual graphic to make it smaller. You have to go to the original program like Photoshop or Illustrator and reduce the size there. You can save it in a different format. Different formats will be different sizes. So, one option is to make it a smaller, different format. It could make it a smaller graphic. Text wrap is a standard feature on most desktop publishing programs. It's where you move the text away from the graphic so it flows around the image. It can be wrapped by maintaining a rectangular border, or it can be wrapped so that the text and graphic actually merge. The standoff is the area between your graphic and the text, so a little bit of white area that's between the text and graphic where there's nothing. That's called a standoff. Uh, Avoid placing a graphic in the center of text. Place it either along the right or the left margin. Don't put it right in the middle of it. Makes it hard to read is the reason. Captions, that's a brief description of an image or a chart. So like we have an image and then there's words underneath it. That's called a caption. It is the third most looked at portion of a document. A caption explains a point made in the text. It summarizes a point. It adds information that's maybe not in the text, and it makes an illustration clearer. But you don't restate the obvious. Captions, it could include names. It could include the source of the image, and maybe the photographer or the software package you used. Captions should be short. They shouldn't be really long paragraphs or anything, but they don't restate the obvious. If it's a picture of some leaves, you don't put, "This is a picture of leaves." That's restating the obvious. That's not what a caption would be. Drawing tools. A rule is a horizontal or vertical line. So if you draw a line somewhere in your graphic design stuff, that's called a rule. Rules are used for separating text or adding emphasis to a text. So they might put a line between things. A pull quote is a short text or article extract set off by rules or in a box. They're usually set off by a pair of rules, like 2 lines setting it off. Word art, we're getting into special effects. Word art is a desktop publishing option that creates a graphic out of text by using curves, colors, and other features. You don't want to use word art as like a title in a scholarly paper. Word art has to be used sparingly. Use these features only when you want to make the impression you want. Watermarks, those are pale images placed on the background of a paper, and it's often used for logos or other identifications. You barely see it. A lot of times you have to put it up against the light to actually see the watermark. Lots of times you'll see maybe confidential or something like that put on the paper. That would be what a watermark would look like. And that is this chapter. That's a lot of the vocabulary that was within that chapter. I know I kind of went kind of fast, but you can rewatch it if you need to. Today we're going to do the chapter 10 questions, and they will be due tomorrow, but I would start on them today. There's several questions, and that is the assignment. I will be on tomorrow, but I won't be teaching anything. I'll just be on if you have any questions over chapter 10. The test will be on Friday. You'll have a Kahoot on Thursday, and on Wednesday we will work on some geometric stuff, so be looking for that. If you have not emailed me with when you want to take your next test for geometrics, you need to do that. Those of you that have passed Photoshop, you need to be working on Illustrator stuff from before and maybe try to retake your Illustrator test. But definitely email me today, those of you that did not email me, and let me know if you are going to take your test, when you're going to take your test. I had a couple send me messages on Google. I need you to email me. Make sure you email me so that I know, because I don't always see when you leave me messages in Google. I need you to email me and tell me when you want to take your test. So that's all I have for today. So I'm going to stop recording.